From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. Large governmental groups controlled seed production in Africa for many years. Owners of small farms had to buy their seeds from these agencies. But now there is an effort to make seeds from other suppliers available to African farmers. Edward Mabaya grew up in Zimbabwe. He says his family's small farm was very successful because his mother used different kinds of seeds. Mr. Mabaya is now a researcher at Cornell University in New York. He leads the African Seed Access Index, TASAI, which researches Africa's seed industry. The organization was launched in March. It is a joint effort of Cornell University, a nonprofit group called Market Matters, Inc., and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. TASAI hopes to provide improved seeds to small farms. Mr. Mabaya says TASAI will try to improve different areas of the industry. Most farmers in Africa use the same seeds they have been planting for many years, unlike farmers in the Western world. The seeds have not been improved to resist disease or dry conditions. George Bajirwa works at the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, or AGRA. He says there are not enough improved seeds in Africa to supply the millions of farmers who need them. He says improved seeds can help farmers increase their production by 6 times. Mr. Mabaya says if seed companies and farmers in Africa keep using the same agricultural technology as the rest of the world, someday Africa will be able to feed itself. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Learning to play the guitar requires a lot of practice, hard work, and in the beginning, hands that hurt. Playing the air guitar is a lot easier. Without holding a real guitar, you copy a musician's hand and arm motions. But that does not produce any sound. Now, researchers from Goldsmiths, University of London, and the University of Sussex have built a digital instrument using motion technology. It turns air guitar motions into music. Saran Gunatilaka is co-founder of Curve Music. They developed the digital air guitar. He says they started by mixing different motion devices like gyroscopes and magnetometers. They combined that with a mobile phone. The mobile phone has the power to play music combinations as a person motions them. This is how it works. A small pad with 8 buttons fits in the palm of one hand. In the other hand is a large electronic guitar pick. By pressing the buttons on the small pad, the player chooses chords. These chords are united with the sound of the pick in the other hand. The sound of the pick is sensitive to the energy of the arm motion. The guitar connects to a speaker through a smartphone or a tablet using Bluetooth. Jack Fuller is with Curve Music. He says that with just a few minutes of practice, someone who has never played a guitar can play simple music. Players can choose from 3 types of instruments: electric, acoustic, or bass guitar. Its inventors are now raising funds for mass production. That is planned to begin in March 2016. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. Alcohol drinkers are often cigarette smokers. Scientists have noted the relationship for a long time, but they have not been able to determine why the two behaviors are connected. Now, a new study may provide some explanation. Mahesh Thakkar is head of research in the Department of Neurology at the University of Missouri's School of Medicine. He led the study. The Journal of Neurochemistry published the research. Thakkar says alcohol causes sleepiness. He says nicotine, a drug in cigarettes, fights that sleepy feeling. This means the drinker can stay awake and consume more alcohol. At the same time, nicotine is addictive. So the more a person drinks, the more that person will smoke and then drink, and so on. The study measured brain activity in rats. The researchers injected the rats with both nicotine and alcohol, and then studied brain activity in the animals as they slept. The researchers found that nicotine cancels out the sleep-causing effects of alcohol. They say the nicotine does this work in the basal forebrain area. Mahesh Thakkar says that is the reward center of the brain. This area is responsible for memory and learning. Earlier research has shown that more than 85% of American adults who are dependent on alcohol are also dependent on nicotine. The World Health Organization blames alcohol and nicotine use for more than 7 million deaths a year. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Many people around the world suffer from dust-related allergies. People with allergies have trouble breathing or suffer from tightness in the chest and shortness of breath. Some allergies result from very small animals called dust mites. Dust mites live in bedding. Now, scientists in Poland say they have successfully tested cloth that blocks the microscopic animals. Most of us share our beds with thousands of dust mites. Each mite is just 1/3 of a millimeter wide. Along with dust around the home, we breathe in waste from these creatures. The waste contains enzymes called proteases. They produce chemical reactions in the body, which can lead to breathlessness, coughing, or severe asthma attacks. Dust mites are hard to remove because they can easily pass through small openings in bedding. But that is not the case with the new material developed at the Medical University of Łódź in Poland. Air can pass through the material, but dust mites cannot. People who tested the cloth say their allergic symptoms were greatly reduced. They say they can finally sleep normally. Researchers say repeated washings did not reduce the anti-allergic quality of the new fabric. More testing must be done before the material will be ready for market. Until then, people who suffer from dust allergies are advised to keep their homes dry, clean their floors often, and wash their bed sheets in hot water. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Science Report. What happened to Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 almost 2 years ago is still a mystery. The passenger plane was traveling from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Beijing, China. The flight disappeared over the Indian Ocean. The plane held 239 people, and all are thought to have died. Experts are still looking for wreckage from the missing Boeing 777 plane. Experts think the Malaysian Airlines plane crashed in very deep waters. An American company, Phoenix International, specializes in underwater searches. It is helping to examine the waters off the western coast of Australia. The company examines large areas of the ocean floor. Parts of the Indian Ocean in the area are 6,000 meters deep. The ocean floor is not easy to explore. An Australian search report said that underwater mountains, deep holes, and very tall, sharp rocks make searching difficult. An underwater search device crashed into a tall mud volcano in January. Its rope split and the device sunk to the ocean floor. But wreckage from 2 ships has been found. Photographs taken underwater found a ship made of steel or iron from the 19th century. Wreckage from another ship was located in May. The only wreckage of Flight 370 found so far was a piece of the plane that washed up on Reunion Island in 2015. Reunion Island is in the western Indian Ocean near Madagascar. The search area is now limited to 60,000 square kilometers near Australia. Investigators say they will end all search efforts in June. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. The Apollo 11 command module, named Columbia, went on an historic voyage in 1969. It took astronauts Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins to the moon and back. It is on display at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. But if you cannot get to Washington, you will be able to see Columbia on your computer or your smartphone. Digital scientists are scanning or taking pictures of the inside of the spaceship. They are creating an online model in 3 dimensions, or 3D. By looking at these photographs, you will be able to see the spacecraft the way the astronauts saw it. Scientists are using special 3D technology to scan it. They are not permitted to touch or climb inside the module. They use 5 cameras on long arms to take large 50-megapixel photographs. The thousands of photographs will be combined with the laser scans. All the images will be loaded into software that lets you look around the spaceship on a computer screen. The user will be able to see the Columbia both inside and out. The Smithsonian Institution says that the 3D technology gives a person ways to see things they cannot see at the museum. Adam Metallo is a 3D imaging specialist. He says that no one has been inside the module since it came to the museum. Now, he says, with this information, anyone in the world can view what it looks like inside this incredible piece of history. The virtual digital model will be available online by the middle of 2016. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. The United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, has taken legal action in the American court system against the technology company Apple. The case involves an Apple iPhone 5C. The smartphone belongs to killer Syed Farook. Farook and his wife murdered 14 people in San Bernardino, California on December 2nd. They were killed in a gun battle with police later the same day. Investigators found an iPhone Farook used. Farook was employed by the San Bernardino County Department of Public Health. They own Farook's iPhone 5C. The Public Health Department gave the FBI permission to collect information from the phone for their investigation. but the phone is locked with a secret password. The phone has a built-in tool that will remove all its information if the password is not correct after trying 10 times. Last month, a judge in Riverside, California, ordered Apple to create software to unlock the phone. The judge's order was supported by the FBI. Apple CEO Tim Cook claims the order violates Apple consumers' privacy rights and sets a bad example. He says it could take away the freedoms and liberty that government is meant to protect. Cook considers the software too dangerous to create. Once created, he argues, criminals could use the software to unlock iPhones and steal private information. This case may be argued for many months and years to come. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Attacks from Boko Haram militants are hurting the economies of Chad and northern Cameroon. The militants often attack trucks bringing goods to the Central African nations. Some of the goods come from Borno State in nearby Nigeria. Borno State is currently under the control of the Islamist militants. Nafisa Aja works at one of the most popular stores in N'Djamena, the capital of Chad. She says the store has not received supplies from Borno State for several months. Business is slow because of the attacks on the trucks that transport supplies. Tukba Haman is a truck driver. He says he no longer goes to Nigeria for supplies because Boko Haram targets trucks and kills drivers. Abdul Saeed works as a customs official in Chad. He says Boko Haram recently attacked trucks in Gambaro, a Nigerian town on the border with Cameroon. He says Boko Haram fighters have attacked and seized many vehicles in recent weeks. Abba Kabir is a member of Cameroon's National Assembly. He says the economies of northern Cameroon and Chad are suffering because the militants control the roads in Nigeria. Simple goods and manufactured products like telephones and farming tools enter Chad on these roads. He says if Boko Haram continues to control the border roads, economic activity will continue to be weak in Chad, northern Cameroon, and parts of northeastern Nigeria. He says he and others are calling on the military to stop the militants and their attacks. For VOA Learning English, I'm Ann Ball.